Hello everyone, my name's Beth Welden and I work as the Manager for Forest Learning Education with Forest and Wood Products Australia, and I'm here today to give you a bit of a background as to some of the education tools that we're making for classrooms right around Australia and probably even around the world. They'll be accessible to anyone. Trees are awesome. I love my job. Trees provide a catalyst to store carbon, not only above ground but below ground, and for the life of the product. They also are sustainable and biodegradable, so a great plastic alternative. We've got a great story to share in the forest and wood product industry, and so that's why I love my job. It's a really good privilege to be able to share this with schools around Australia. There's a lot of disconnect, not only in meat and wool and the rest, but also in wood, that we often equate forestry with deforestation. So how do we get our message out for the social licence to operate in the first place? And that's where, I'm pleased to be here today to share that within schools. So today I'll be giving a bit of a background as to Forest and Wood Products Australia and then launching into how we're using virtual reality to bring virtual tours to schools. So Forest and Wood Products Australia is one of 15 research and development corporations, and it's one of 10 that are industry levied. So for every dollar that industry gives, for every log that's sold, Australian government matches that dollar for dollar. Forest Learning is one program of Forest and Wood Products Australia, and I work in Program 1, promoting the advantages of wood products. Forest Learning is unique for Forest and Wood Products. We provide robust resources, looking at providing downloadable, free-to-access teaching and learning resources for teachers to access off our website, and you can see it's forestlearning.edu.au. Productive partnerships. I work with industry, schools and any other providers such as Think Digital at the moment to produce resources and to get them out and promote them to schools. And strategic promotions. We provide newsletters for teachers with a database of 7,300 teachers around Australia who receive quarterly newsletters, 1,664 Facebook followers, and we provide free teacher packs to engage teachers and to give them hands-on materials to use in the classroom. But there's an issue. We've got this excellent, probably what teachers were delivering in the 1900s in terms of downloadable, printable, photocopiable resources. But how do we take that to the next level? How do we provide experiences and accessibility for locations that are very hard to access? So we've got here a teacher in the classroom. I don't know much about forestry. Isn't forestry deforestation? How do I go and visit a forest if I don't know how safe it's going to be? I'm very comfortable in working within a classroom setting. Even learning on the oval is hard for me. So there's a lot of barriers that we have to get over before we even get an excursion to a forest. So the virtual reality tools that we're creating or have created are not only providing an immersive learning tool within the classroom, but I think importantly, we're trying to upskill the teachers in gaining confidence to visit these places as well. So it's not either or. We actually want people to have that face-to-face experience with the forest or with a mill or with the end product, but we're hoping to upskill and build that confidence for teachers to do that. Many teachers don't know about forestry. Many teachers wouldn't know forestry is a science, that there is a 4-year degree at a university to be a forester. So there's a lot of science behind it. It's a crop, an agricultural crop, except instead of an annual crop like wheat, we're doing a 30-year cycle or 80-year cycle. So it's trying to build that confidence, that understanding and that knowledge so that we can build that social licence. But also, it's a great plastic alternative. We should all be using it more. And I'm glad to see the bio cups up the back. That's really good. So not only is it hard for teachers to know from the confidence perspective, but it also costs money to access some of these places. We actually, Tim Gentle and I with Think Digital, visited 28 locations around Australia to deliver the Seed to Shelter VR experience. Schools won't have that opportunity. They may be able to see one piece of the puzzle, and we'll hope to therefore fill in the rest of the gaps where they're lacking currently. So that's the issue. the solution has been the ForestVR, and it's really exciting to be here today to launch the first glimpses of ForestVR at our trade booth. If you haven't seen it, come along. We've got 4 headsets. We'd love to see you. So we're learning through immersion and showing the cycle of the forestry cycle and the end products and where they come from. Seed to shelter, similar to paddock to plate. But how did we get there? Maybe you're in industry out there and looking to get into this space for schools. We had a lot of ideas from industry, educators, and a whole lot of other organisations that came together into a filming and post-production phase, and then into the toolkit that we'll see launching in September. So first, the planning phase, which probably took the majority of the last year, has been working with industry. What's our story? What do we want to tell people that they don't already know? What's the cycle? What's the important pieces of the puzzle that they need to understand? And therefore, what locations do we need to film at? We had an educator working group, and I'm working closely with partners such as the Geography Teachers Association of Victoria and the Design and Technology Teachers Association of Victoria, who also have a bank of teachers who inputted into what they need in the classroom. So it's not about what we want to say, it's what's going to be useful. What are we going to help you solve in the classroom that you have a gap? And so that's where their input has been really valuable, and it continues to be as they write the curriculum to accompany these experiences that you'll see. So they're right in the process now of writing that curriculum. And we also had the Mount Gambier Forest and Wood Products Australia Young Leaders Group, as well as a lot of schools in that region come together in a collaborative way to help us form the story, form the locations, and to allow access to these places. So we've ended up with 7 different video experiences, but not only these video experiences, we've also got 360 RoundMe tours. So if anyone knows RoundMe, it's quite an easy platform to use in terms of populating. Every location we went to, we took 360 photos, and we're then able to insert hotspots of information, people talking with voiceover. We can link in YouTube videos or anything that we want, websites. And so that in that 360 space, it becomes an interaction and an active experience that accompanies the VR more passive video experience. So we've got the pine forest story, the softwood story, and the spotted gum hardwood story. And from that, we wanted to look at the forestry management, because there's a lot in that trees aren't cut without prior planning, and that often is decades prior. So things don't get harvested unless they're actually planned for to be harvested. And to see that cycle, that for every tree harvested, another is replanted, that we're not changing land use when we harvest, there is actually a cycle. And it's the most renewable resource out there. And you may have seen wood, the ultimate renewable, on our the newest Forest and Wood Products initiative, on billboards or on your television, and this fits in with that too. Sustainability is a cross-curricular priority area within the curriculum, and our story can fit, therefore, into any subject area because of that sustainability cross-curriculum priority area, as well as digital technologies also being another. So this VR experience really brings us into every subject, not just the geography and design and technologies. So we've got the forestry management. We then go to the processing side, the milling, which is specifically important for design and technology, looking at the whole life cycle of a product. And then we provided a full forest and wood from seed to shelter. And we've also got paper, being a very common thing in a school. Where does our paper come from? It comes from sustainably managed forests. Collaborators have been huge. So these are just the people that have provided access and input into the vision. Think Digital has been working very closely, and thanks to Tim and Jess very much for all that you've done in getting these video experiences for us today. We've been working with a lot of different organisations and milling companies, and so it's not just a one-person show. This has involved a whole year across a lot of locations, from New South Wales, Mount Gambier, Tumut and Tumbarumba, which is down near Canberra, and we will be expanding these experiences in the coming year with federal funding. Now we're in the curriculum writing phase, and that's really exciting for me, to see how do we translate these immersive tours into something that's useful for a teacher, and hopefully to provide a really deep and rich learning experience for students that they'll remember. So geography teachers are writing a years 5 and 6, 8 and 10 module, design and technologies 7 and 8, and the cross-curricular. So for primary schools, subjects don't really count. You probably all have had primary school students or know where you come from. You have the same teacher all day. So having a cross-curricular where teachers can actually tick off one or more subject areas becomes really important. So we're developing one in conjunction with both organisations. And this is a flattened version of what you'll see in the virtual space. Unfortunately, it's flattened. We couldn't get it to work on this platform in a 360. But the virtual reality won't just be accessible on headset. As you know, virtual reality can also be on iPads. 5 years ago, iPads were a pretty novel thing within a school. It was probably lucky to have 1 or 2 class sets per school. Now, with bring your own device policies within schools and more, often it's 1 per child in a school. So iPad will be a really important thing, particularly for lower primary and upper primaries, to be able to use it in small groups and to use that technology. It's still a little bit more interactive than a television screen because they can move around and show that window and look around. Obviously, the immersive environment is going to be the wow factor, as you'll see the big machinery and things that you would never get access to see. If you were on an excursion, you would never be allowed access to a harvesting event as a school. It's just, even as an industry person, it's hard to get access to a harvesting event. So it's getting the inaccessible accessible to all. So we might play that video if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. It is a flattened version.
Australian communities have enjoyed the beauty, function and sustainability of pine for generations. We've built our homes, schools, hospitals and workplaces with this wonderfully versatile wood. Today, we're going to take a journey to see how we get from seed to shelter. We step inside the nursery production shed where the journey starts. Seeds are collected from parent pine cones and are sown into growing trays on the sowing line. Seed trays are brought into the covered growing area for around 6 weeks to allow them to germinate. These tens of thousands of seedlings you're looking at now are 5 months old and are showing good growth. This chopper roller tows heavy rolls behind the bulldozer. They chop and crush up the leftover stumps and branches from the recent harvest event at an old plantation site, and makes it easier for the mounder to mound the soil up into rows ready for planting, just like a farm. Over 1,000 pine seedlings are being planted here today. Each one is placed into the soil by hand. These new seedlings will need extra help through the control of competing weeds and other competition to ensure their best start. Here we are driving through the forest at 1 year and it's showing some good growth. At 4 years, the forest is seeing canopy closure. See how the tree branches are nearly touching? This helps them push out weeds and they can start to grow taller. The forest is 10 years old now, and you can see the trees are beginning to gain height. This is also the time for forest inventory, when trees are measured to determine what kind of products can be produced from thinning operations. During thinning, defective or poor quality trees are identified and removed from the plantation to reduce competition and encourage the growth and overall health of the forest. This 15-year-old forest has recently undergone its first thinning, and the light-hungry trees are thriving.
Thank you. So you can see it actually goes right through to 30 years at every 5-year interval. And it was interesting, the geography teacher, I was so excited when I sent her the first draft and she said, "Hang on, Beth, I thought you were getting new footage." And I said, "Yeah, Judy, I was. We've just gone and captured it." She said, "Well, how did you get 30-year-old footage from when it was planted?" She thought it was in the same forest that we were driving through. So mission accomplished. This is a snapshot and a travel through time that you've never seen before. one of a kind and actually world first in terms of an educational tool for forestry. So we're really proud to have it here today. And as our first launch, it's wonderful to have you come and experience it. So come and join us, and we look forward to seeing where this goes in the future. Thank you.